It brings no joy to report that Ben Wheatley's Meg 2 The Trench is a titanic disaster. Like a lazy student caught spying on their neighbor's test, writers Joe Hober, Eric Hober, and Dean Georgaris adapt author Steve Alten's The Trench by unsubtly borrowing from superior films with similar desires to unleash monsters both alien and earthly, while humanity pays a brutal, deserved price. James Cameron's Aliens, Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park: The Lost World, William Eubanks' Underwater, and more have their signature stolen by the sequel to 2018's The Meg, forcing comparisons that never favor 2023's most infuriating summer release. There have been so few movies about megalodons, and yet The Meg 2 The Trench feels like a creature feature we've seen a billion times over. Probably on late night cable, only able to hold our attention for fleeting minutes before the channel changes to greener televised pastures. Jason Statham returns as diver extraordinaire Jonas Taylor, but there's so little effort made by the Hobers and Georgaris to get viewers up to speed on his past exploits in the realm of aquatic cryptozoology. The off-screen fridging of Li Bingbing's Suan Zhang opens the door for Chinese action star Wu Jing to fill in as Statham's buddy counterpart. It's a shame, because losing that appealing romantic tension between a charming, multidimensional Statham and Li deflates Meg 2. Statham falls back into the chirpy action hero stereotypes that have defined his most forgettable efforts, and is less endearing as protective father figure Statham, chaperoning the return of Sophia Kai as Suan's always almost makes the worst decision daughter, Mei Ying Xiang. It's all so surface shallow, from nameless companions defined by their underwhelming demises, to the frustrating imbalance between toothless From the Deep terrors and B-movie ambitions laughed at for the wrong reasons. An anemic screenplay devoid of connective tissues between The Meg and Meg 2 quickly raises red flags. Any semblance of thoughtful scripting is jettisoned when Zhu Ming's oceanic research project is infiltrated by technology-stealing rivals. Meg 2 churns through waterlogged action beats held together with scene-before storytelling chains rusted to the point of disintegration.
Whatever is down there is trying to make its way to the surface.
It displays all the confidence and craftsmanship of a sci-fi original, given a Warner Brothers Discovery budget, which feels so distressingly unlike Wheatley's otherwise sharp-witted catalog. Dialogue dribbles out of mouths like it's written by an AI database fed only great white schlock like Sharkansaw Women's Prison Massacre or Jersey Shore Shark Attack.
This is a bad idea.
Just a little bit.
As the film throttles forward into the most basic plot advancement this side of Weyland-Yutani meets Deep Blue Sea.
Wow.
Even worse, Meg 2 devolves into a visual eyesore after an almost exclusively submerged first act surfaces for sea monster feeding frenzies at an Instagrammable paradise numbingly dubbed Fun Island. There are shots as Taylor leads exosuit-wearing divers across the trench, where the beauty of unexplored ocean depths illuminates. Neon tendrils on flora wave with the current, or baby octopi colored like different Skittles flavors bob like buoys. Then the action reaches shore, and atrocities against green screen usage become the norm. Attack sequences look horrendous as computerized recreations of megalodons, human snacks, and water splashes layer jankily atop one another. Digital effects in the back half present as embarrassingly rushed versus the film's more impressive beginning. Almost like a whole different team, from director on down, reshot everything under frugal and breakneck conditions. That would also explain the barren production design around Fun Island, which gives up dressing empty space, creating locations that somehow devalue scenic Chinese landscapes. Not even Carnage can salvage Meg 2. Statham and Wu wage war against Megs with homemade explosive spears while riding jet skis like spring break jousters. And yet there's no lasting impression left by the violence. The gore of Meg 2 is PG-13 tame and entirely animal-related. A complaint the similarly rated first film dodged thanks to thicker tension, thrills backed by intensity, and far tighter tonal command. A few chills are felt when a Meg swims out of the trench's pitch-black shadows and right past Taylor's billion-dollar submersible, but there's hardly any horror elsewhere.
Biggest Meg anyone's ever seen.
The repetition of Meg's swallowing victims whole to avoid disgusting injuries overstays its welcome. It's astonishing to witness Meg 2 nosedive, because the opening third, a survival horror stretch about escaping the trench, earns a shoulder shrugged up, fine. The remaining 2/3 sink like a stone statue wearing concrete shoes. Quality diminishes as performances become increasingly phoned in or special effects attention wanes. Key guests of Fun Island possess the on-screen presence of wealthy Patreon donors who spent tens of thousands for a small speaking role. Even something as innocuous as ADR lines, a common technical element in all movies, hit with an amateurish choppiness that doesn't match the eye for detail Wheatley exhibited in Kill List and Sightseers. When Meg 2 The Trench embraces the simpler shark-infested pleasures that define the original, it's at its best. Paige Kennedy steals scenes as returning engineer DJ, overcoming his wimpier ways and reborn as an action hero this time around. Cliff Curtis gets to lob jokes at Statham's harder-edged lead, and those might sneak a quick smirk. Swarms of reptilian mini-predators thrash and gnash at Taylor's colleagues in the trench, an additional threat that adds much-needed adversarial opportunities. These are flickers of a better Meg 2. While the rest feels like a studio gruel that values nothing but spectacular distraction without any substance or passion for the art form.
Proximity alert. Megs. No way.
Meg 2 The Trench has all the excitement of fishing solo for 2 hours without a single bite. Wheatley is a shell of himself behind the camera, devoid of personality and originality. If you copy greed-driven subplots, underwater escape sequences, and helmet-imploding deaths from better movies, maybe don't make it so obvious, especially when it seems like the studio overseers don't care enough about delivering a sequel that carries individual value. Meg 2 is a terrible megalodon-sized blunder haplessly cobbled together using parts stripped from throughout genre history, all made impotent and dulled in far lesser hands. For more movie reviews, check out what we thought of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem and Barbenheimer. And for everything else, stick with IGN.